of like everything is expected. It's great. It's like the same John Wayne.
My name is Paul James. I host English News in the morning.
And the Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audience. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow on the East-West Show. That is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of history that is hand-forged by 10 generations of the #1 craftsman on the global earth, which altogether stands for as a testimony to the spectacular and the share of the royal glory. Back to the show. This wonderful individual, a young woman, beautiful, is an old friend of mine. We go back all together no less than 10 years, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Many more.
She and many more. She is the regional director of a big nonprofit organization, CALA, California Citizen Against the Law Abuse, which is such a positive organization, gaining momentum, gaining support every single day because California needs to be saved. Later into the show, I'll let you know how and why. And her name is Mary Ann Maloney. Welcome, my dear friend, to the show.
Great to see you, and thank you for all you do for Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It was about 10 years ago that the event related with Kurt Hagman. Back then
Yes.
he was a
Assemblyman.
right? I met with this wonderful lady, and all of a sudden I realized such a great individual, exactly what California is missing, right? So, and she introduced me to her organization, Kayla, and she invited me to several of the luncheons or breakfast conference whatsoever, and I learned by and by about Kayla, what Kayla is doing, and why Kayla is doing, and I would like to bring that part to you because October the 7th starting till October 13th, of course, I do not mean when you do a week of campaign doesn't mean the rest of the week can be no campaign. I'm talking about that specific week of October 7th to 13th is the week of Kayla campaign. I myself would want to make it a constant call for Kayla and supporting Kayla. Right, good. On our website, you will find the banner of Kayla, and to which you will be linked to everything related to Kayla, including this show, including this wonderful woman. So back to you. You want to start with a little introduction about yourself and Kayla, please?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, I'm Mary Ann Marino, the Regional Director of Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse. And we've started the position back maybe 20 years ago, and I think you've been with us probably 15 or 16 years.
Yeah.
I remember the meeting exactly when we were with Assemblyman Kurt Hagman at the time. We had small business owners, and we were starting to share our stories, and he got exactly what we needed. He said, listen, I'm with you, but let me make a phone call. And he got Jack Chow on the phone. That was a Friday, and by Tuesday, myself as well as my group of small business owners came, visited with Jack, with you. We were on your show, and it's been just a great opportunity ever since to help us get the word out that we need to put an end to lawsuit abuse.
Someday I have to include it into my resume. I did something good, right?
Oh, you did something great because, boy, this is a special week for us, as you've mentioned. It's Lawsuit Abuse Awareness Week. And it's a special time where we try to raise the awareness that we've got to put an end to these shakedown lawsuits, because these shakedown lawsuits target us, minority small business owners, and it really puts harm to us because it could force us to close our business, cost jobs, raise the cost of goods and services, or force us to move to other states. So, we want people to know that lawsuit abuse impacts everybody. You just might think, oh, that's some company or whatever, or some city gets sued. But there was a study that took place, and it said that according to the Perryman Group, that there's 200,000 fewer jobs in California because of lawsuit abuse, and it's a cost of about $14.6 billion to consumers and to employers because they pay more for their costs of goods and services, because if a company is sued, of course, they have to come up with money to settle the case, and one way they do that is by raising prices, or by cutting jobs, or by cutting back and not producing so much. So it really has a big economic output impact on the whole community, as well as on individuals and jobs and California as a whole. So again, thank you always for inviting us to be on your show, not just for Lawsuit Abuse Awareness Week, but gosh, we're here maybe 4 or 5 times a year, because lawsuit abuse and all the regulations that the state of California puts forward, just sets us up for more litigation.
Thank you very much, Marianne, for the wonderful and strong introduction. To be honest with my friend, I came to the United States for almost 37 years. I came here for United States. I came here for the state of California because I learned California was the best land on earth. Back then, if California had been a country, it would be the 6th or the 7th of the world. Now we are no longer that way. We're quite behind. We are back to the end, depending on which area you're talking about. In small business, whatsoever business development, we are way back to the tail of the long line. Well, I lost my confidence. I wanted to go, but I can't because my family is rooted here. My sons and daughter, my wife, everybody is here. I could not afford to go, or I would have gone long time ago. That was the point when I met with Marianne Maloney, this wonderful lady, and discovered the name of Kayla. When I discovered the name of Kayla, I started to see some kind of twilight. I felt as if, right? Because California needs a voice. Somebody has to stand tall and say, hey guys, let's not kill California. Let's save California.
Right.
Now, starting October the 7th, you will hear on the radio, you will see on the TV an advertising campaign for which we, EDI, took part in doing our part.
Yes.
Because we offered free space and free time whatsoever to let the voice out. The first sentence says, the news says that every day California's economy is doing better. Why are we still suffering? Because our legal system supports the only big lawyers, big parentheses, bad lawyers, as for the benefit of every individuals, they don't even care. Why? Because they have the crazy, frivolous lawsuit system. Anybody can sue anybody at any time among themselves, and to the business owners, anybody could be sued at any given moment.
That's right. I mean, and the irony of it is the state of California, they pass more than 800 or 900 pieces of legislation a year, and the majority of those pieces of legislation has to do with regulation. And if a company isn't in compliance for technical issues, it sets them up for litigation, when most of the time nobody is really ever hurt. And the most excessive type of litigation happening right now across California is the Private Attorney General Act, the misuse of that. And I know you've talked about it many times on the show before, but if an employee misses a meal or rest break.
The PAGA law.
The PAGA law.
The PAGA law. The notorious PAGA law, I would say.
Yeah, that's right. If an employee misses a meal or a rest break and he files a claim, that gives the attorney on the case the opportunity to scour payroll records looking for technical violations. Now, if anybody's familiar with the California labor law, I'm not sure if anybody is.
Let's hold on right there.
Okay.
Because when we come back, we really have to show our audience that how bad California economy is being hit. How bad every single taxpayers of California is being shaken down, is being taking money out of the pocket without your knowing. All right. With me, Marianne Maloney, Regional Director of CALA, California Against the Lawsuit Abuse. We will be right back, my dear friend. Stay put.
Everything. We have to continue to work on it now. My name is Paul James. I host English News.
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audience, my dear fellow Californians. Welcome back to the show. Today with my friend Marianne Maloney, District Director of CALA, California Citizen Against Lawsuit Abuse. We are doing something very significant in coalition with the October Awareness Week, starting October 7th to 13th, through going out throughout all October to bring up the awareness of the fact that California is being hit and heavily hit and definitely and devastatingly hit by the frivolous lawsuit. So back to you, Marianne, to the fact that how California is hit, right?
Well, we're hopeful this year that Governor Gavin Newsom, I know he signed many bills, but hopefully that the ones that are remaining, he will veto, such as AB 51 that has to do with arbitration, which would really wipe out businesses and be probably one of the worst pieces of legislation that would hit California. But we were starting to talk about the abuse of PAGA, the Private Attorney General Act, and that was originally signed into law.
Let's do this. Let's do some divisions. Number one division is the consumer, quote unquote, Consumer Protection Act, that area. Number two, the PAGA law, that area. Number three, the ADA law, that area, so that our audience will know exactly that we Californians are being hit by three directions.
Right.
All the time.
All the time. And what's sad about it is that our California businesses, large and small, we have to be able to operate with certainty, because when you're hit with a lawsuit, the settlement costs a lot of money if you're proven guilty, or you settle just to make it go away, and that can cost jobs. It can stop you from research and development.
Exactly.
It can force you to move to other states, and so that's one way that affects us in very big ways. But the Consumer Privacy Act, which you just mentioned last year, Governor Jerry Brown signed it into law. It's effective in January. But that's where people who just might think that their private information was violated, and they can sign on to a class action lawsuit. So people will just start signing on to class action lawsuits because they think that they might be able to get money. But that's going to really put employers and businesses in a bad spot, because again, they need to operate in an environment that is fair and gives them certainty that they will be able to have their business, they will be able to create these jobs and be here in the next 25, 30 years.
All right, good. There in the old time, in China, there is a time when they produce with the Chinese herbal medicine of the patch, the herbal patch. You know how they advertise themselves? You don't have to tell it where it hurts. Just to put it on, it will go look for it. It go look for it. Right? Now you California law. I do see the patch. Look for it. You know why? I receive letters in my mail these days for many times already, because I used to drive a Chrysler 2007 or 2013 Chrysler, right? And the letter says, If you were an owner of 2013 of a Chrysler 300C, you might have experienced da 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 da. If so, give us a call. We'll bring you lawsuit of money. And if not, it might be the category that the problem that you experiences or you have not been aware of are not listed, and still you want to call us. Those are the looking for the problem patch.
Right. Well, you know, people go scouting around on the internet or they see these ads on TV. It's the same kind of situation. It's really a marketing firm that's trying to lure you in, and they'll get you on different health issues, or they'll get you, I guess, on car issues. They'll get you engaged in the website, and the more you click down the website, what they're trying to get you to do is to give your information to get you to sign on to a lawsuit. So it's just like your patch analogy, right? They're
looking
trying
for
to,
trouble.
Right. Looking for trouble.
Right. And then for that, we will give the credit to our legislature. The huge credit goes to legislature because they create the laws that creates the kind of ill attempt, right, to shake down California.
Right. I mean, the California labor law book is 800 pages, you know, long. So how could you really be in compliance when they've got 800 pages? You're bound to mess up somewhere along the way. And if you do, and somebody finds it, you're set up for a Private Attorney General Act lawsuit. So if you're not in violation, if you're in violation for one thing, then they know they're going to try and get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They call it stacking, so they can get more money.
Let's stick to the Consumer Protection Act, right? Okay. And remember, there was last show you mentioned somebody ironed the shirt.
Oh, right. Yes.
Wearing it. Now tell that. That will indicate exactly how crazy California and the California laws have been already.
Well, you might see certain products that you buy will have a tag or a warning on a box. And if you have an iron, they'll tell you not to iron your shirt while you're wearing it, because if it's on and it's hot and you iron your arm, I mean, wouldn't you kind of think twice? But then the other one about the baby stroller, they'll tell parents, you know, they'll have a warning sign, don't close the stroller while your baby is inside. They have to put a warning sign on that because somebody, I guess, did try to close the stroller with the baby
And next
inside.
time, wait. Next time you'll see a basin saying that don't throw your baby out with the water.
Right, that's right.
Yeah?
That's coming.
The same thing.
That's right.
Same
What
logic.
would they think of
Same logic.
Exactly.
California is as crazy as such.
It's the worst. I mean, I think
Right?
we're the 48th
Right.
worst.
How many out of 100 would iron the shirt wearing it? How many would fold this baby stroller with the baby in it? How many of you would throw the baby out with the water? And next thing you say, don't bite on your forks, right? Don't chew your spoons, right? Because it will hurt you.
Right.
Yeah? Those belong to logic, right? And can we say California law and legislatures is on a culture that is going against even logic, basic logic?
It's really gone too far. It's too much, because the things like the Privacy Act, where anybody can just jump on board feeling that their privacy was violated, it only encourages more lawsuit abuse. It doesn't really prevent it and take a look at what it can do to the economy and to people and to jobs.
Yeah, you speak on the manufacturer, the business owner's point of view. If I'm a producer of the iron, though, I have to either close down, right, or to spend money to do the warning, right? Of course, that would happen after I pay the lawsuit already, right?
Right, and so whoever's going to go and buy the next iron, instead of being $25, it's going to be $30, because you're going to have to pay for those
Yes,
warning
of course.
labels. You're going to have to pay for that litigation and the settlement and all the attorney's fees associated with it. And that's what, with Lawsuit Abuse Awareness Week, they're saying that consumers spent $14.6 billion more in 1 year because of the litigation.
Yeah, the end of the day, it is us, the consumers, the voters, the members of California who paid, our taxpayers, who paid the money for the court costs.
Right.
Right?
And even city agencies.
And then we're the one as consumer bear the end of the day cost of buying our nine,
Right.
right? And the babysitter. And the same thing happens everywhere.
Yeah, even city services. If a city or a government agency is sued, well, they have to come up and they have to settle and they have to pay out. Well, all of a sudden, maybe the libraries start to close, or you don't see as many streets being repaved, or there's potholes, or there aren't as many senior services programs available. So just like with consumers, with purchasing items, city services can be impacted and cut as well.
Of course, to be fair, that consumer privacy needs to be protected. That's clear, right? However, everything on this global earth has a silver line. You have to do it fairly, acceptably, and in a balanced way, right? You can't just say one end, do one end, and then totally forget the other. Yeah. Without a small business, without a business, though, how do you get the money, right? And with the business being killed by the lawsuit, how do you protect the consumer at all?
Well, that's why with Lawsuit Abuse Awareness Week, we really are reaching out to everybody who is in California, everybody watching your show right now, to stand up and start talking to legislators at the city level, the county level, Assembly, State Senate, all the way up, and start voicing your concerns to put an end to lawsuit abuse, because a lot of these laws that were just signed into law really haven't taken effect yet. And we're going to start seeing a lot of changes in California. Isn't going to be the same California as
Thank
we know
you for
it.
the call. Thank you for the call. My dear friend, it's not a wake-up call. It's an enhanced call, because it's been a wake-up call for that many years now. And it is not until, the California will not be saved until everybody is aware of it. Everybody say something. Everybody says, no, do not kill California anymore. That's the end of it. We're tired of it, right?
Right.
We're tired of the BS, all right? We'll be right back, my dear friends.
Everything. We have to continue to work on it now. My name is Paul James. I host English News here in
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, my dear audience, lovely audience, my dear brother or sister, my dear fellow Californians. Welcome to the East-West Show that is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of history and hand-forged by 10 generations of #1 craftsmen on earth. Together, they stand for a testimony to the spectacular and a share of the royal glory. Back to the show. With me today is my wonderful friend for so many years, District Director of CALA, California Citizen Against Law Abuse, CALA.com, CALA.com, a wonderful organization that goes 20 years back. And for the past 20 years, they never stop for a respite. They never take a moment out, and they are on the issue every single day, every single hour. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you for always being our champion, Jack Shao.
All right, good. I feel that I'm part of it. And in other words, I'm a little selfish because I'm doing the self-defense, right? I'm
right.
defending myself. So next time I do not have to pay $29 for a $25 iron, right?
Right.
And $39 for a $20 baby stroller. All right? So
Right.
that's obviously we're doing the self-defense. Speaking of self-defense, though, we're talking about the second category, second area, whole area that California economy is being hurt. That's the PACA law, That's the notorious PAGA law, the Private Attorney General Act, right? The PAGA law. So back to you, Kayla. Kayla, representative, to let us know what is the PAGA law and how dirty, how nasty is this PAGA law, and who it protects, please.
Well, the PAGA law was signed into law in 2004 by Gray Davis, and it actually was to protect employees from bad employers. Those employers who were here one week and not the next, those employers who didn't pay all the hours that someone worked, or those employers that paid hot checks. Well, over time, and because of the loopholes in the law, it's been turned upside down to sue your boss, where employees can then turn around and sue their boss on technical violations. And really, in a lot of these, nobody is ever hurt. But they're mostly disgruntled employees, and they might come back because they missed a meal or a rest break. And according to the Private Attorney General Act, once that happens, then an attorney can go and scour payroll records looking for technical violations, according to the California labor law. And that California labor law book is 800 pages long. So I think they're going to find a violation or two. And when they do, they try and find as many as possible because they call it stacking. And the more violations they have, the more money that they can make. And so I have an example that always stuck in my mind because, Kayla, we did a press conference on the steps of the state capitol a few years ago. And there was a man who was kind of older, his hands were kind of cut, he was a little hunched over, obviously from hard work. And he explained that it didn't matter that he paid his employees, on time, or that the check cleared the bank. What mattered is that his check stub didn't have a beginning date or an ending date. So he was sued as a class action status for every pay period, for every employee, for 4 years. It was his $78,000 settlement, but nobody was ever really hurt.
Oh my God.
So that's an example of some of these types of Private Attorney General Act lawsuits that, again, going back to consumers paying more or businesses paying more, that just sucked out a lot of money from that employer's business, money that he might have used to hire more people, to expand, research and development, buy new equipment. Instead, he had to pay out the settlement, and he ended up leaving California and going to Texas.
Or close.
Or close.
Or close down, right? My dear audience, this is if it is the first time for you to hear this, well, you better stay. Sit tight, because I'm gonna give you some even more examples to show you how this California PAGA laws is, how crazy that is. Because of my involvement, I learned a lot. I came to know a friend named Tom Menzel. He is the owner and CEO, of course, founder of business of California.
Cabia.
Cabia. You know what? His business was being sued for the fact that they run different shifts, right? And for the fact also, the business was in existence for more than 36 years. And the longest employee stayed with the business for 36 years. That means since day one. So it's kind of like a family business. The grandpa used to work there, and Papa used to work there, and the son's daughter used to work there. So for a family, they bring their lunch together, right? Or a couple, they bring lunch together. They enjoy eating. However, husband probably gets off at 11:30, wife gets off at 12, and then there's the 30 minutes or 20 minutes time lapse, right? The wife would rather wait for the husband to enjoy together the food, right? For that, Tom Menzel was sued. Was sued. My dear friend, you tell me, this Tom Menzel, poor man, was sued for a violation of the PAGA law. PAGA law says that everybody should eat within 5 hours. I don't.
Right.
I don't. I choose not to. My boss never forced me. I choose not to. I don't have the stomach, right? So what, right? Now, Tom was sued. Not only was he sued, he is still being sued. And the still being processed. I checked with Tom. I said, Tom, do you think of any time backup? Tom says, no. I'll bet with everything I can to fight till the last day on earth. I said, you will lose everything. He said, I'm ready to lose everything. Okay, now, my question is my question to you. If Tom loses to the very end, though, who loses even bigger?
We all do. We all do. And employers, too. I mean, it takes away the flexibility of them running their businesses. I know that, like you're saying, a lot of people want to have lunch with their friends. It kind of makes it fun when you have your time off to catch up with everybody.
It's very human.
Yeah, it's fun, right. And then there's other stories when other employers that we've heard, that's quite common actually, when an employee will come to the boss and say, hey, my son has a soccer game today at 4 o'clock. What do you say if I skip my break and skip my lunch so I could leave? So boss is happy, figures, okay, the job gets done. The employee is happy, they get to go see their son play soccer. But the state of California wasn't happy because you're supposed to have your lunch and your break. And of course, that sets somebody up for another Private Attorney General Act lawsuit. So it takes away the flexibility that employees have when they go to work, when employers have on how they run their company. And it's sometimes businesses just don't work the way regulations say that they should. And that's kind of strangling businesses.
They pretended that they were protecting the consumers or they protecting the workers. As a matter of fact, they are hurting California by hurting everyone.
That's right.
Right?
Yes, because it costs us jobs, if these
Because of my involvement, I almost remember, I myself is almost a kind of Kayla. I'm a member of Kayla myself.
Yes,
right?
you are.
I have an example that can back you up. My friend David Houston in Pasadena, a restaurant owner, right? He's being sued and sued heavily and he sued devastatingly for what, On way out to the lunch break or whatever break, an employee might be confronted by an incoming customer asking, where's the bathroom? Where's the restroom? Or just the way out, an incoming customer, and he or she will turn around to show them to their seat, right? Like an usher thing, right? That will kill them like 30 seconds or a minute of time.
Right.
Over time, those are accumulated by the names, by the time, by number of days, number of months, number of years, and everything comes crashing on David Houston. And on top, there is a lawsuit sky big. Last time I checked with him, he has spent $900,000 already, and he was not even halfway.
Right. And I think in that case, the plaintiffs on that got $14 and the attorneys got $900,000 for filing that case. So it kind of shows you that the system is rigged really to favor the attorneys, because another example of the Private Attorney General Act is Uber was sued, and so the attorneys got $3 million, the state of California got $5 million, and the Uber drivers got $1.08.
What a joke. And I got 6 pennies. Remember my check?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
All right, my dear friends. Let's take a short moment out. When we come back, we'll let you know my story of the 6 pennies and also the third trap. The third trap, that is the ADA laws, all right, which of course also implemented in California, which is still function very badly in California. That kills lots of good business. Stay with us.
Everything we have to continue to work on it now. My name is Paul James. I host English News here in
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audience. Welcome back to the show. Jack Zhao on the East West Show with my dear friend Marianne Maloney, District Director of CALA, California Citizen Against Lawsuit Abuse. A big organization and good organization, and this organization that I salute because of the fact they are fighting for every Californians, including you, me, everybody. That's why we call on people during the week and the month of awareness, be part of it. Do something you ought to do, because California deserves the protection of any single one of Californians.
Thank you.
Other than that, no New Yorkers will come here to protect California.
Right.
No Texans will come here to protect California. It is the Californians' job to protect California, right?
Right.
Now, with Marianne Maloney, regional director, we want to go into the third aspect, about third area. We're talking about the ADA laws, the American
With
Disabled
Disabilities Act. Yes.
Right. And how California is being hit by that, please.
Well, again, the Americans with Disabilities Act was a good law put into place when George Bush the father was president, and it was to protect the disabled, to make sure that they had complete access to public places. Everybody wholeheartedly agreed. But again, over time and loopholes in the law, people found a way to make money off of that. And they would, go and scour businesses looking for violations where the parking lot sign might be too high. I mean, the bathroom mirror might be too high, the toilet too low, the blue striping in the parking lot
Not blue enough.
Not blue enough.
Not blue
That's
enough.
right.
Uh-huh.
And they would go and they would sue business on technical violations anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 per violation, depending on what it is. Well, now with technology, they don't even have to drive up and down the street anymore. They can just go to Google Maps, and they figure if you don't have the right blue striping, you're more than likely not going to be in compliance with anybody else either. So they just go and outright sue business, and forcing them to settle to make it go away. The business might spend $5,000, $6,000 to make it go away, but whoever brought that case
To surrender.
they surrender, but whoever brought that case to them, like in most of these other types of unwarranted lawsuits, they never really follow up to make sure that you fix that blue striping or fix the parking lot sign or anything else. It's really just all about the money. And for something as common sense as that, I think that fixing the abuse of the Americans with Disabilities Act really should be a no-brainer.
Lawson, thank you very much for that is a sad story. That story is going sadder and sadder and sadder until realize all of a sudden that the Californians are being taken ransom. We're shaken down, right? We're taking them ransom. And everybody waving the flag, the legislators ringing the flag, say, protection, protection. We protect you. We are representative of you. We protect you, the people, right? And yet we are being taken ransom.
Right.
Right?
Because again, the business owner, a lot of these businesses that are hit.
And the business owner, there comes a law attorney with a letter so scary, say, I'm going to sue you. And the learning from the past appearances whatsoever, learning from Tom Menzo, he's going to lose anyway. Learning from David Houston, he's going to lose anyway. So I'll surrender. How much cost me to surrender? Well, maybe give you $4,000, I'll let you go. So they choose to cut a check of $4,000.
Right.
To let it go.
Right, but that's sad because most of these people who are targeted are mostly the minority mom and pop small business owners who have that little business to take care of themselves, to take care of their family, to support themselves, send their kids through school. And that $4,000 could really kind of make a difference because insurance doesn't cover that on a lot of these types of cases. It's your own money. It comes either out of the business's, cash flow, or it comes out of your savings.
Again, David Houston. In David Houston restaurant, there once upon a time came a older couple with a little dog or something.
Oh yes, that's right.
Remember that?
Yes.
Why don't you tell the story?
Well, the story goes that somebody came into the restaurant and had a little 7-pound white fluffy toy poodle. And they wanted this little 7-pound white fluffy toy poodle to have dinner with them on top of the dinner table.
On top of the table.
That's right, right here. And so the business owner came over and said, we'd love to give the dog a plate of food, but it might be better if we fed the dog outside. And in this case, the patron didn't like it, so he grabbed the dog and they left. But 6 months later, the business owner was hit with a lawsuit claiming the dog was a service dog. Well, when they went and they investigated a little bit more, the dog wasn't a service dog, but in this case, the business owner fought it. And he fought it and he won. It cost him $100,000.
All right. Suppose if it were a service dog, would the business owner win?
Probably not.
Of course not.
No.
All right? And then we're talking about rules, restaurant rules, right? Being respected. That table was for human beings, not for dogs. Dog might eat elsewhere, right?
Right.
Okay, that is a violation of a human right already. Already. Why can't they flip that page? When can they talk that area? And luckily the dog wasn't a service dog, but if the dog were, and the business owner would have no way to win.
No.
That's how bad California law system is.
They can bring a pony in and the business owner can't say anything. I guess if you're a hotel owner and somebody comes in with a dog, you have to let the dog in. So, I mean, there's all these kind of regulations that are getting out of control. And your viewers might see some of these regulations now with Prop 65, which is the California Environmental Quality Act, the initiative passed by voters in '86 to protect our waterways.
That's the fourth category.
Okay.
God. All right, we're surrounded.
to protect our waterways from chemicals. And just a couple of years ago, it all has to do with signage and warning labels. And years ago, that your viewers probably saw out there signs that said chemicals used in this building may cause cancer or reproductive harm.
Yeah.
And if a business didn't have that sign, they were sued $2,500 a day. And of course, do they wait 3 weeks or 6 months? No, they wait a year so they can settle for $80,000, push for a big settlement. But just a couple of years ago, the point I wanted to share with your viewers is that you're probably seeing some of these warning labels out there in the community. And it really has nothing to do with protecting you, I suppose, from Prop 65, but making sure that that company or that store has the label, because if they don't, again, they're sued. So if you go to the grocery store, you'll see that bread and chocolate chip cookies and all these kind of food items are labeled saying it has acrylamide, or rice has arsenic, or cans have bisphenol A. But is it stopping anybody from buying the chocolate chip cookies or buying their bread or their rice or whatever? It has really nothing to do with, stopping anybody from buying anything.
Yes, you're right.
As much as it does to making sure that they can turn around and sue that business.
Unless it is like the lead in gasoline, well, you totally stop it, right? Other than that, it is the fact it has to contain there, right? So has the way. So the fact is that they want to make it a violation so that they can enrich the attorneys, right? Once again, I have, with my involvement with Kayla, though, I learned from by the Proposition 65, there is a good example. Remember the gentleman on Mission Hills? He runs a hardware store with the kind of pin, or a pin or something with a gladiator kind of like tooth of.
Right. Yeah.
Of a pin.
An alligator clip.
Alligator clip, right? And then it has a little tip, the plastic wrapper on it.
Right.
Wrapper on it, right? In red. Yeah. That wrapper, as plastic, contains certain kind of chemical, which is among the 900.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Right. That's right.
So that guy was sued.
Yes. His example is that he has the hardware store somewhere in Los Angeles, but the attorneys who sued him came up from San Diego, And it was ironic that they had to go all the way from San Diego to go and buy a little bag of alligator clips. And in this instance, the man thought he was protected because he did have his Prop 65 signs all around the store warning that chemicals could be in the business, but they had no interest in that. They were interested in seeing if the alligator clips were labeled. So the irony of the whole thing is that 4 attorneys were involved and won from that. The plaintiff, the people who represented the store, the people who represented the manufacturer, and the attorney who represented the vendor. So it just goes to show you that these type of unwarranted lawsuits create these cottage industries of just a small group of these attorneys who are able to really go and figure out how to use it.
And over one item that sells for 75 cents.
That's right.
3/4.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, my dear friend, we're running out of time. However, we still want to squeeze some time to give it a conclusion. With all the laid down 4 categories from 4 directions attacking California, number 1, the Consumer Private Act, number 2, the PAGA laws, number 3, the ADA laws, number 4, the Proposition 65, from all 4 directions to take down California. Why would that happen that way?
Well, it's the laws that the legislators put forth and are signed by the governor. So I do have an action item with Lawsuit Abuse Awareness Week being this week, and I hope they take it this week and continue throughout the legislative session. On Governor Gavin Newsom's desk is a bill, AB 51, to ban arbitration in employment contracts. And I would encourage your viewers to call the governor's office and encourage him to veto it. Governor Jerry Brown did when it landed on his desk last year. And he said so because the Supreme Court takes precedence over arbitration. But if Governor Gavin Newsom signs it and they do figure out how to make it law here in California, that would be the worst type of legislation that will wipe out business here.
Okay, speaking of the worst type of legislation, though, we found out we cannot help concluding that our laws are only benefiting bad lawyers, right? As exactly as the advertisements say that our laws only protect the bad lawyers. As for the benefit of regular Californians, they don't even care. So, conclusion, only by performing a reform of legal system can California be saved. Other than that, no way.
That's right, because we can deal with taxes, we can deal with regulations, but a lawsuit can wipe you out. It could be just too much. We have to be able to operate in a way that has certainty to it, and if somebody comes in with a lawsuit and it's a lot of money or even a small pot of money, it means the difference between
Okay, let's wrap it up by announcing your website, please.
Your viewers can go to www.cala.com, Kayla.com.
www.cala.com. I believe you heard that.